Hello, everybody. Welcome to GM Sports Report, your weekly podcast on all things sports where every play counts. I'm Grant, and I'm here with my co host Mason as we get ready to cover the latest news, headlines, and upcoming events going on in the sports world. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see all things GM Sports Report. Mason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, Grant. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We got a lot to get into. Opening day is tomorrow,
hmm
so this is going to be a lot of baseball on this episode. We're going to do our opening day preview along with some NBA and NFL news, but we'll go ahead and get things started with our hot take of the week. So, Mason, what is your hot take for this week?
So my hot take is that with Levante David retiring and a couple other of the moves that have happened with Tampa Bay, I think they may be a team that struggles pretty well this season because if you look at the acquisitions they made, they're really not big names. They let go a lot more players than they had coming in, and they're pretty big names. Rashad White was a good back for them. Mike Evans obviously taking a good contract to go to San Francisco. Jamal Dean, a corner that they relied on heavily. And Levante David, who I think is one of the best Buccaneers of all time, retiring. So, and then you have Todd Bowles, who was really at the helm of just this disaster class that happened last season, which we all thought that Tampa was going to be a team, that was going to make it far, and then they just fell off. So, yeah, you have Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, and then Emeka Egbuka, but other than them, it's really just nothing crazy, and it really just makes me kind of concerned for those young, very exciting players to see what can happen in the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you said, last season, Tampa was one of the most fun teams to watch at the start of the season.
Yep.
We were all saying crazy things. I know I was saying Baker Mayfield, MVP, whatever, but that's kind of a joke on the show anyway. But um, yeah, I think that they are going to take a step back, losing Mike Evans, obviously Levante David. Those are your two anchors of the franchise for the last
hmm
however many seasons. So yeah, those are big losses, and obviously we saw Baker Mayfield and the rest of that offense struggle immensely towards the end of the season, and they got a lot to work on going into this year.
Yep.
All right. For my hot take of the week, I don't really know if this is a hot take. I mean, because it's a headline in sports, there's probably people on both sides. That's how it always goes. So it probably is a hot take to some. I kind of just want to talk about it. The Cubs signing PCA is going to be a great move for the franchise. This extension makes so much sense for both sides, both parties. The Cubs locked down their face of the franchise throughout his prime and going into his age 31 season. We now know it is a 6-year, $115 million extension, so $19 million per year, and it's really more like a 7-year extension because this contract won't kick in until next season. So I know that PCA has really struggled in the second half of last season, but at the end of the day, even with him struggling immensely in the second half, he was still the first player since Sammy Sosa to get you a 30-30 season and the second Cub ever to do so. And even if the bat isn't always there, he is by far the best defensive outfielder in baseball. So he's going to make up a lot of that money out in the outfield. And we've seen flashes of him being absolutely special. At the beginning of last season, this man was in front of Otani for MVP consideration for a good portion of the season. So if he can just maintain any amount of consistency, this is going to be a contract that's well worth it. We look at like the Roman Anthony deals, the Corbin Carroll deals, all these deals of these young players that are starting to slowly break out. These extensions always end up working out. So I'm very excited for this. And yeah, the Cubs got their guy. They got the face of their franchise now for the next 7 years. And I'm very excited about it as a Cubs fan. And not to mention, like, PCA is just becoming the face of Chicago, hanging out with Caleb Williams and Connor Bedard and all these other Chicago sports athletes. So this is just great for the city of Chicago. And I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Now we're going to go ahead and slide over to our underdog of the week. So, Mason, who is your underdog for this week?
Yeah, my underdog is a placeholder in the Sweet 16 for the college basketball March Madness, and that is Iowa beating number one seed Florida in a 73-72 game-winning shot or play, whatever. But yeah, huge shout out to Iowa. I kind of think a lot of people expected Florida to make it a lot farther than they did, especially off of last season. But I see I watch a lot of Gators stuff as on like Instagram and Twitter because I'm a Florida Gators football fan, but it just didn't seem like that this was a team even close to what they were last year with, Walter Clayton Jr. and all those other guys. So I didn't expect, them to be as good as they were, but yeah, still huge shout out to 9 Iowa beating 1 Florida.
Yeah. I think that's a great pick. Picking some March Madness. I like that because
Mhm.
unfortunately we're not going to be diving into too much March Madness this episode.
Right.
So we will get into some more of it in future episodes
Yep.
next week. But I like that pick. And for my underdog of the week, I got a player that you're going to like here. I'm going with Tyler Kolek of the New York Knicks.
Hey,
We saw
hey.
on Sunday that he dropped 44 points in a G League game on a Sunday afternoon and then came and dropped 11 big time points in the fourth quarter for the New York Knicks in an NBA game. So 56 points, or sorry, holy crap, I can't do math. 55 points in one day for Tyler Kolek. That's pretty impressive. And playing in 2 games alone is just a really cool story. And I do like Tyler Kolek as much as I dislike the Knicks. I do like Tyler Kolek as a player. I think he's got high upside. So I wanted to shout him out.
Yeah, I appreciate that because he's done that, one or two up a couple times other than this time, but he's just really been hidden in the rotation just with guys like Jose Alvarado and then obviously Jordan Clarkson and
Mhm.
Shamit, everyone else. So it's good to see him get some minutes.
Yeah, that was a fun story to see happen
Yeah.
last week.
Yep.
All right. Speaking of NBA, we're gonna go ahead and slide over there real quick and just give our player and teams of the week. I feel like we're gonna have the same for both of these because there's just
Yeah.
for each category, it's just there's such an obvious answer for both one. But I'll let you go ahead and start with your
Well,
player of the week.
for player of the week, I went with the other one with the other conference player of the week, and that's Melo Ball. I mean, you could pick Luca every week if you wanted to. Obviously, he was going to be the clear selection, but I'm just going to shout out Melo with 26 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 7.3 assists per game. Sure, not as crazy as the other stats that may have gone around even in the West Coast, but if you compare Luca's stats to anyone else's, they're going to look like that. They're going to look like civilian numbers. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had to pick Luca. The dude averaged 42 points
Yeah.
per game this last week, and the Lakers as a team have been on an absolute tear. They had won 10 straight until losing last night. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out Luca, 42, 7, and 7. That's going to get it done every time for
Yep.
player of the week in my book. All right, now we'll go ahead and slide over to the team of the week. Who you got?
Yeah, so I'm going, OKC, the Thunder, 12-game win streak, but I think something that's very interesting is that San Antonio is 3 games behind them. And with how great the Thunder have been, it's like the San Antonio Spurs have been their kryptonite all year. We saw that very early on in the season, and then the third seed right behind them in a conference is the Lakers, but they're 8 games back from San Antonio. So that just shows how big of a gap there is from 2 to the 3 seed. While in the East, the 2 and the 3 are a half game in between each other.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's been like this. I'd say the past few years where the East has been more open, in my opinion, than maybe not as open as it is now, but compared to the West. It's
It's still been
it's
open.
been
It's still been open.
right, right.
I mean, just look at the last few years. We've got teams like the 8 seed Heat making it into the finals, the Pacers doing
Right,
what they
right.
did last season. The East is always going to have its upsets going on.
Mhm.
Um, the West, yeah, is so stacked. I also went with OKC 12-game win streak. They've been the most dominant team in basketball. But like you said, the Spurs right behind them. And I
Mhm.
really hope we don't get robbed from seeing those two teams face
Oh, I
off in the
need
Western
it.
Conference
I need
Finals.
it.
I need that so bad because
Oh
that is
my
just going to
gosh.
be such a fun watch as a fan of basketball. So I'm really hoping there's no upsets for either team leading up to that. But yeah, I also went with OKC.
That could potentially be better than the NBA finals, depending on who we
Oh,
get,
it
because
100% would be.
it could turn out to be like the NFC championship with the Rams and the
Mhm.
Seahawks, what we saw in the NFL. So that's a great shout out.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of NFL, we'll go ahead and slide over there real quick. Just going over some little headlines. JSN signed extension. Bijan Robinson
Well,
signed a deal. Travis Kelsey signed a pretty big 3-year deal. And then, like you said earlier, Levante David has announced his retirement. Mason, I'll let you kind of touch on those if you want.
yeah, I mean JSN, you knew he was going to get paid. I just wasn't sure if it was going to be this offseason or next offseason, but he is the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history, and it's really scaring me because if we, as a Giants fan, if Neighbors does what we thought he's going to do for the whole season, it's like how are we going to be able to afford him in a couple of years? I could just see him going to Washington and play with his boy, but yeah, I think the market's just been absolutely just flipped upside down with the Alec Pierce signing.
Mm.
Um, and I think it's just going to open the floodgates to where I don't know if teams are going to be able to afford, just their guys anymore. So, and then yeah, Bijan, that's a great signing. He is their franchise player for the Falcons, so have to get that done. And then Travis Kelsey, I thought was pretty shocking. I saw some fans say it's like it's for what he did rather than what he's going to do, which I think is kind of ridiculous given the circumstance with what Casey is kind of going through. Yeah, you signed Justin Fields. Pat Mahomes might be out a couple weeks, but you need some weapons. Worthy and Rasheed Rice are great, but are they going to be able to just get rid of the off the field stuff and just play football? I don't know. And yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, I don't really have too many notes on these headlines other than just the Travis Kelsey one really makes me scratch my head. I mean,
Yeah.
52 million in 3 years, that's kind of crazy for where he's at in his career right now.
He's
I
not
know it's like
finishing
what
it
you
out.
said, there's the fans saying like, oh, it's for what he did. But I mean, come on. At the end of the day, the
I don't
NFL is a
know.
business and you got to make the correct business
Yeah.
decisions. And I just feel like this is one they're going to regret, plain and simple. So that's kind of my
Mhm.
only note that I have there.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Now we're going to transition to the main segment of this episode, and that is our MLB opening day preview. First thing we're going to do is go division by division and kind of just give our predictions on who we think is going to win the division. So we'll start with the AL East. Mason, who do you have winning the AL East?
Toronto. I don't really have too much explanation, going into it.
Yeah, I went Toronto as well. Obviously, they lost out on Bo this offseason, which, you know, some would say is a big loss, but at the same time, they did
Bittersweet.
make
Yeah.
they made a big chunk out of that postseason run without Bo in their lineup, so
Mhm.
they can win without him. And they're gonna also have Anthony Santander this season, who didn't play a whole lot for them last season. And they added Akamoto, they added Dylan Cease, Tyler Rogers, and Cody Ponce. So some good acquisitions there to a team that's already, in my opinion, the favorites out of the AL East. So I'm also going with the Blue Jays. All right. Now we got the AL Central.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Detroit Tigers. It kind of felt like, given the season they had all regular season, that their postseason kind of got cut short, and I was really expecting them to make a much deeper run. Obviously, things happen. That you can't just be what you're supposed to be in times like that. But yeah, I think Tigers are gonna win the division.
Yeah, not only do I think the Tigers will win the division, I think they're going to run away with it pretty convincingly. We saw what happened last season
Yeah.
where they choked that big lead that they had to the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
I don't expect that to happen again. They absolutely loaded this rotation. I think this is the best rotation in baseball outside of like maybe the Dodgers. You have Tariq Skubal, Framber Valdez, Jack Flaherty, Justin Verlander, and Casey Mize. That's a fantastic pitching staff. So I'm really excited to see what they get done as a team, and I think they'll run away with the AL Central this year. All right, now we have the AL West.
Yeah, I think it'll be Seattle Mariners. They're another fun, exciting team that, did pretty well last season, and I think that they're going to do well again.
Yeah, I loved Seattle's team last season. I loved it before the big postseason run that they had. It's a great balance between pitching and offense. You got the guys like Gilbert and Kirby and Miller in the starting rotation, and then you look at their offense and they got, Naylor, Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh hitting 60 home runs. I don't know if Cal Raleigh is going to be able to repeat that, but we'll see what happens. I really like how balanced this team is. They went and added Brendan Donovan, who's one of the better contact hitters in baseball. Obviously, they lost Eugenio Suarez, but Suarez struggled a lot for them in a Mariners uniform. So I don't think that's going to be too big of a loss for them. I think that they're going to win the AL West. And not only that, I do think that this is a team that might be the best team in the AL when we look at the
Mhm.
season a few months from now.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to go ahead and slide over to the National League. And we'll start with what I think is the best division in baseball, and that is the NL East.
Yeah, I think I could really see it being a toss up if the Mets are going to be kind of what they're expected to be on paper, but it's going to be them and Phillies, in my opinion. Phillies, as we know, has been an amazing regular season team. Again, in the playoffs, they kind of got cut short. So we'll see. But I think the Phillies are just going to get it over the Mets. But who knows? The Mets might be able to make a run with, the first kind of team. It's a whole new team for them, a very new team. So it's not like we really sample size of these guys, but just a whole lot of new players in different positions, and then it's really just making it up as you go with that. So if they play well, I think they'll do good.
Yeah, I'm going to actually give it to the Mets. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. When we looked at the
Hmm.
beginning of their offseason, we didn't know what the heck they were doing when they lost Edwin Diaz, Pete Alonso, Brendan Nimmo. Those were guys that were big parts of their team for the last few seasons. And we didn't know what direction they were going, but I got to give them credit when credit's due. They really bounced back and had probably one of the best, if not the best, offseason in baseball, signing Bo Bichette, landing Freddie Peralta in a trade, getting Luis Robert in another trade, signing Jorge Polanco. You got Marcus Simeon back in that Brandon Nimmo deal. And you don't quite replace Edwin Diaz, but you are getting guys like Devin Williams and Luke Weaver, who both struggled tremendously last season. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But if they can get back to any form of how they were before last season, I mean, Devin Williams was at one point the best closer in baseball. If he can get
Hmm.
anywhere near that level again, and Luke Weaver can kind of get back to that confident level that he had even going into the beginning of last season. I think that those are also two underrated moves that they'll make. But like you said, there's a lot of moving parts with this team. Jorge Polanco's never played first base before in his career. Bo Bichette, we know there's going to be growing pains over with him at third base. Their young guys haven't really proved themselves yet. Their pitching staff is still a little weak, even though you got Freddie Peralta. I still think there's a lot of question marks with Nolan McLean, as we saw in the WBC. David Peterson's only getting older. Sean Manaea, you don't know how much gas he has left in the tank. So still a lot of moving parts going around on this Mets team, but I will give them the benefit of the doubt going into the season just because of how many quality moves they made this offseason. All right, now we're going to go ahead and slide over to the NL Central.
I'm gonna go with Milwaukee.
That's fair.
Yeah. I don't know too much as far as like what they've done or anything, but I know they had a great season last year, and if they can go off that, they'll probably be in a good spot.
Yeah, look, the Brewers have had a team on paper that looked like it shouldn't be the best team in the NL
Yeah.
Central for 5 years now. They've now won it back-to-back seasons. They always seem to find a way to just win baseball games and be in the mix. So I'm okay with you picking them because until they're proven otherwise, they are the best team in the NL Central. But when I look at
I wonder who
paper,
you're gonna pick.
when I look at the moves that have happened in this NL Central, I think the Cubs have the best team on paper. Get in a guy like Alex Bregman, get in uh, a potentially really good starting pitcher in Edward Cabrera, really bulking out that bullpen with Phil Maton and Hunter Harvey. I really like some of those moves that they made, extending PCA. The vibes are at a high right now for this team. And I hope this is the year where we finally take that crown of the NL Central because I felt it last year when we got Tucker that we should have easily won and we didn't. So I have a bad feeling it's going to be the same exact thing that happens, but I want the Cubs to win the NL Central. So that's ultimately who I'm going with.
Understandable.
All right. And finally, the one that's probably going to be the hardest
I'll just
choice who's
skip
going to win
it.
the
Yeah.
NL West?
I mean, do we have to go? We'll just go Dodgers. I feel like we don't have to even say
Yeah.
it, but
It's going to be Dodgers, World Series champions, and then they added Kyle Tucker and Edwin Diaz. So that's all I got to really say. That's all my notes say. Um, okay, now let's get into some more fun topics. Who do you think the AL MVP is gonna be?
Aaron Judge. So here's my thing. If he can kind of go off what he did last season, absolutely. Cal, everyone was saying it should have went to him, but I'm gonna go with someone who gave him a good run for his money and wasn't really talked about enough, and that is Bobby Witt Jr. I was really enjoying watching him in the World Baseball Classic. I'd love to see him kind of have a bounce back season, kind of compared to what he did in 24. So, um, he's just a very exciting player. So I'd love to see him get back to where he was.
I'm glad you said that because for this topic, when we're going over both our MVP predictions, I didn't want to just give the
Hmm.
basic Judge and Shohei
No,
predictions
yeah, I
that
know.
everyone knows. So for my two, I
Hmm.
went with probably the more of the dark horse candidates. So I went with Bobby Witt Jr. because I do think that he is the
Yep.
second best player in the AL as far as when you look at the MVP race. He's got all five tools. He's extremely fast. He could probably swipe you 50 bags if he tried. He can get you 30 home runs.
Hmm.
He plays some of the best defense, if not the best defense, over at the most important position on the field at shortstop. And he's going
Yeah.
to be crucial for what the
Yep.
Royals are trying to do this year. So I think that as far as a dark horse goes, Bobby Witt should be right there in the favorites. Obviously, I think Judge will ultimately win, but I didn't want to just pick Judge and, shade,
Yeah. Yeah.
these other guys. So I went with Bobby Witt for my pick. And now we'll go ahead and do our NL.
Yeah, NL, I don't know as far as too many like kind of dark horses, so I just went with the cliche Otani, but I'll let you kind of take over for that.
It was kind of hard to think of a dark horse for the NL because a
Yeah,
lot of these
that's
players, a lot of the players that were in the mix last season were like very flashy and up and down, like PCA, to be honest.
hmm.
So for this one, I had to do a little bit of digging, and I kind of like this. I think it would be interesting to see if this guy gets in the race, and that is Ellie De La Cruz. This is a guy that has
Yeah.
flashed potential of being a really solid player. Obviously, with his frame of being 6'6" tall, he's got the speed, the power. I mean, switch hitter. If he can just get everything going, this guy is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Was playing on a hurt hamstring last season, and then when he was healthy, he was absolutely crushing the baseball. So if he has a fully healthy season, who knows? And then another dark horse I like. How about Ronald Acuna coming back into the league for his first full healthy season
Yeah.
in a while? If he can stay fully healthy, we know what he can do. So that's my other dark horse pick.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Now we're gonna go ahead and give our Cy Young predictions. This one, I will admit, I am doing the cliche for this
Yeah,
one.
I know. Sorry, I couldn't think. So
I mean,
yeah.
is there really
Yeah.
anyone that's gonna beat Skeens or Skubal?
No. No.
There's not. The only
No.
one that I would have given a run for the money is Hunter Green for the Reds, but now he's gonna miss most likely half the season, maybe even more.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be Skeens and Skubal. I don't even think you need to debate this
Yeah.
one.
No.
All right. Now we'll go ahead and do one that should spark more conversation. That is AL and NL Rookie of the Year. Starting with the AL Rookie of the Year. Who you got?
I don't know too many rookies coming into into this season, so again, I'm gonna have to let you carry it. It seems biggest thing is kind of understanding how like how are you still defined a rookie, because NFL and other sports is easy, but baseball to me it's kind of like still kind of grasping and understanding like the limitations, I guess. So
It's like if you play less than half a season going into the next year,
okay,
you're considered a rookie.
okay, okay.
So like Roman Anthony is going to be considered a rookie going into this
Yeah.
season.
Oh, well then, yeah, I'd probably take him AL just off of even what we've seen in the WBC, kind of doing what he did. It's already kind of in the swing of things as far as the playoff worthy baseball. So if he can bring that into the regular season, he should have no doubt in winning AL Rookie of the Year.
All right, since you pretty much hit the nail on the head with the favorite and Roman Anthony, I'll give a couple other names. I think Trey Savage has a good chance, pitcher for the Blue Jays, we saw how good he was in those big moments in the postseason. Now he is going to miss the start of the season. I don't know how long he's expected to miss, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up winning Rookie of the Year. And then a more fun one, Munetaka Murakami for the White Sox. This was a big name coming into free agency. White Sox sign him. It was still to this day the most random signing that I saw. But look, don't be surprised if this guy goes and hits 35 home runs and walks away with a Rookie of the Year. I think that he has no pressure on him whatsoever coming into the league right now
No.
with the team that he's playing on. White Sox fans are just happy they have someone that has potential to hit 30 home runs. So, yeah, he has no pressure. He's in a great situation to just come in and start playing good baseball right away. So, well, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins AL Rookie of the Year. So that's another
Yeah,
name.
absolutely.
All right, and now we'll go ahead and slide over to the NL Rookie of the Year.
Unless you take this away again.
Okay. Obviously, the favorite is the Mets rookie, Nolan McLean. But after what I saw him do
Oh
in the
my god.
WBC, I don't know. I don't know if I can trust him so much. So for my NL Rookie of the Year, obviously Connor Griffin is another big name for shortstop for the Pirates. It always seems like it's the NL Central as a Cubs fan that all these big names are coming out of.
Yeah.
Connor Griffin, I wouldn't be surprised, although he is starting this season in AAA. But the ultimate pick that I'm going to pick for this is JJ Weatherholt, shortstop / second baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals. This is a guy who absolutely raked in minor leagues last year. It has only taken him 1 year to now make the big leagues. It's a guy that's been described as a very calm presence, very mature for his age. And with the Cardinals having absolutely nothing going for them, I can just see JJ Weatherholt. So sort of the same reasoning for why I picked Murakami. Just no pressure because, the worst you can do is be bad like the Cardinals are already going to be. So gonna go with JJ Weatherholt for my NL Rookie of the Year. Give the Cardinals a bone, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Now we'll do our sleeper team this season.
Okay, so I kind of have two. My first one, I'll go with the Texas Rangers. I think last year they were just at such of like a disadvantage and couldn't even get a full season just of health. So I mean, then you get guys like Brandon Nimmo, Corey Seager is obviously the staple of that team. Evan Carter, DeGrom, and then Nathan Eovaldi. So they have guys. It's really just being able to play with all those guys at the same time and just having a healthy season. So we saw what happened. I believe what was it 20 what year did they win? Was it 23?
Would have been 23. Yeah. Jeez. It felt
Yeah,
like it
so
was like a
23.
season ago.
I know. I almost said 24. Yeah, so
Yeah.
um just seeing, what they can do. They have great management, so that's going to be exciting to see if they could just stay healthy. And then my other one was I think one of the best young teams or just young players, and that's the Athletics. Lawrence Butler, Denzel Clark, Nick Kurtz, Jeff McNeil from the Mets, and then Brent Rooker. So they could, if they can get things going together as well, just kind of build off of what they did individually last season. I think they can be a team to look out for as well.
Yeah, I like that. For my sleeper team, I'm going with a team that was very competitive 2 seasons ago and then just completely fell off the wagon last season. But I expect them to bounce back, and that's the Baltimore Orioles. I will not be surprised if they're a good team
Yeah.
this year. Obviously, signing a guy like Pete Alonso, you got Ryan Helsley, you got some starting rotation help, which was big for them. And they still have that young core of Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holiday, Adley Rutschman, Samuel Balsaro, that catcher that they got. It's just a good team. Taylor Ward that they traded for this offseason. So I would not be surprised if they have a full bounce back season this year. So that's my sleeper team.
Yeah, it's funny because that's a team like kind of like what you said with the Cubs. Like they seem like they have it every year just with guys, and then they can just never
Mm-hmm.
put it together. Like last year, I don't think people could have been more wrong with just
Oh yeah.
how it happened. But that's just how it goes because we kind of expected, or I expected the Red Sox to be that way for last year, and then obviously they played well and made it to the playoffs. So yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, we're gonna do our overrated teams.
I'll have to go with my own team. That's the New York Yankees. I see every poll and ranking that the Yankees are top 7, top 10 with like everything that I've been seeing. I personally don't see it. Just even in our own division, I don't see us like cracking top 3. So it's just very frustrating. I can go on and on just as far as what this team's been doing wrong. Kind of like you said earlier in the day, actually, having a 4-man rotation to start off the season. That's just, you don't see that. Aaron Boone, I feel like you can get rid of him and just have the team manage itself, and they do better. Yeah, it's very very frustrating the thing to see week in week out, but yeah, I'll have to go with the New York Yankees.
Yeah, I think that's fair. For my overrated team, I don't know if this is just because I'm a Cubs fan, so I see a lot of NL Central buzz, or I just get a lot of X accounts of that are fan bases of this team. But the Pittsburgh Pirates fans really think that they're putting together a team that's going
Oh,
to not contend, but like be in wild card mixes this season. And I still think
okay.
they're so far away from being there. Now, Connor Griffin could go be the rookie of the year and be fantastic, but I still don't think they have enough. Yeah, they made the trade for Brandon Lowe, which is going to add like 20 home runs to their roster. Marcelo Zuna, okay, whatever. You got some help around Paul Skeens finally, but I just still think they're a long, long ways away from being a contender, especially in this stacked NL Central, where I really think Cubs, Brewers, and Reds are going to be the 3 teams running for that division race. So, yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know if that's just because I get a lot of Pirates fans on my page, but I've seen a little bit of buzz around them, and I'm just not buying that yet.
That's funny.
All right. That's pretty much going to wrap up this episode. So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of GM Sports Report, where every play counts. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to be able to see our weekly episodes on all things sports. For additional content, check the description to see links to our Instagram and TikTok account. This is Grant and Mason. Sign off for now. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you guys.